WandaVision. For context, see spoilers for Captain America: The Winter Soldier, Avengers: Age of Ultron, Captain America: Civil War, and Avengers: Infinity War. Wanda Maximoff and Vision have just moved into a black and white 50s-style home, where Wanda uses her powers to make housewife chores a breeze, and Vision can use his advanced machine brain and body to work. The episode opens on Wanda reminding Vision that this evening, August 23, is an important date. On the calendar, a heart shape is above the date. Vision feigns memory of the event and that he will be prepared for it. As Vision leaves for work, Wanda looks at the calendar, seeming not so sure herself. A knock at the door introduces Wanda to Agnes, their next-door neighbor. Agnes gives Wanda a plant and offers to help her around the neighborhood. At work, Vision is praised by his boss, Mr. Hart, for his efficiency and improving production by 300%. Hart tells Vision that he and his wife are looking forward to their dinner this evening. Vision realizes that the dinner was the event denotes by the heart on the calendar. Heart to heart. In a panic, Wanda calls Agnes, who brings over a family meal for 4 that she just had lying around. Wanda and Vision attempt to use their powers to cook, but wind up ruining everything but the main course. Though slightly dismayed by the food, Mr. and Mrs. Hart engage Wanda and Vision in polite conversation. At one point, Mr. Hart begins to aggressively question their origins, and Wanda causes food to choke him. His wife watches with a smile on her face, only saying the words "Stop it" to Wanda. Vision is able to remove the obstruction from Mr. Hart's throat. The Harts praise the two for their efforts. Wanda and Vision lovingly embrace while still unsure about any significance of the date beyond the Harts' visit. As the show ends, the camera pans back to a monitor on a supercomputer being watched by an unknown viewer. Episode 2. Episode 3, now in color. Now in a 70s color scheme. Wanda and Vision live in a Brady Bunch-type house with a short brick wall between their neighbors, Herb and Agnes. A doctor is over for a house call. The doctor confirms Wanda's pregnancy. Both parents are surprised due to the nature of the pregnancy. The doctor presumes the half-day-old fetus to be at around 4 months. Vision expresses great nervousness and uncertainty, but the doctor reassures him that this is normal for new fathers to be. As he walks the doctor out of the house, the doctor informs Vision of his planned vacation to Bermuda. Vision notices Herb cutting through the brick wall with his bushwhacker. Herb plays it off. Visions comes in to see Wanda is now full term. While discussing baby names, Vision suggests Billy, and Wanda suggests Tommy. Wanda produces a painting of a stork on the wall. Vision estimates the birth to be in 3 days. Wanda begins to experience contractions. Suddenly, the house goes crazy and all the lights shut off, even in the neighbors' houses all around the block. Wanda comments on how the people of the neighborhood are always on the verge of finding out their secret. Vision explores the irregularities of the neighborhood, before cutting back to rewind to a different response. Wanda's water breaks as the sprinklers go off. A commercial for Hydra Soak Bubble Bath airs. As Vision leaves to get the doctor, Wanda hears a noise coming from the baby's room. Geraldine rings the doorbell and enters asking to borrow a bucket as all her pipes burst. Wanda tries to hide her pregnancy. Geraldine begins to tell a story as Wanda notices the stork materialized into reality. Wanda tries to make the stork disappear, but it doesn't work. The stork runs back into the baby's room as Geraldine finishes her story of landing a promotion at her job, asking if she could borrow some office supplies. As Geraldine notices the crib next to the still real stork in front of the picture, Wanda goes into labor. Vision arrives as the doctor and his wife are about to depart and flies him back to the house as Geraldine helps Wanda deliver the child. Vision arrives with the doctor as Wanda holds the child. Geraldine asks the doctor to help her in the kitchen. As Wanda and Vision are alone, Vision reveals his real face to the child. Wanda gives birth to a second child. They name the children Tommy and Billy. The doctor confirms 2 healthy baby boys. The doctor thanks Geraldine and tells her she may have what it takes to be a nurse. Vision asks the doctor about his trip, but the doctor looks at Vision and tells him he and his wife won't go, and comments on how hard it is to escape small towns. As the doctor leaves, Vision turns around and notices Agnes talking with Herb. Agnes asks if Geraldine is inside with Wanda. Vision confirms and asks why. Inside, Geraldine and Wanda marvel at the twins, and Wanda tells her about Pietro. Geraldine begins to change her expression as Wanda sings a Sokovian song to the twins. Geraldine rhetorically asks Wanda if Ultron killed Pietro. Outside, Herb and Agnes tell Vision that Geraldine is new to town, with no known family and no home. When Wanda presses Geraldine to repeat what she said, Geraldine attempts to play it off as the babies start to cry. Wanda notices the symbol on Geraldine's necklace and presses her further. Herb tries to tell Vision why Geraldine came to Westview. He manages to say, "We're all," before Agnes stops him and leaves on her bicycle. Herb goes back inside. Vision returns to find Wanda alone with the children, and Geraldine nowhere to be seen. Wanda says that she left. Outside the city of Westview, Geraldine is hurled from an invisible wall and immediately surrounded by many special operatives as the camera pulls back and the scale of the operation becomes more apparent. Episode 4. We interrupt this program. We begin on a flashback of Monica Rambeau being reformed from the snap along with the rest. She is looking for a patient but the nurse is unable to help her. Monica meets with a doctor who tells her that her mother died from cancer 3 years ago and explains the disappearances. Episode 5. On a very special episode. Now set in the 80s. Wanda tends to one of the children while Vision coddles the other one in an effort to get him to go to sleep. Wanda tries to use her powers to get the babies to go to sleep, but it does not work. Neither do the pacifiers. Agnes arrives to help. Vision reluctantly agrees. Sensing his disagreement, the Agnes actor asks Wanda if she wants to do the take again. Wanda tries to deflect the break as Vision inquires. Vision stops questioning as the babies seem to have gone to sleep. When Wanda and Vision check the cribs, the babies have grown into a pair of 5-year-old boys. Hayward is asking Monica about her experience since Westview. Monica describes hearing Wanda's voice in her head while feeling helpless, in a place of grief. Wu and Darcy enter and give Monica new clothes. Monica leaves to change and go to the briefing. At the briefing, Wu and Hayward explain the origins of Wanda's powers. In the MCU, she gains them through HYDRA's experimentation with the Mind Stone, which gave her her telepathic and telekinetic powers. There is no known alter ego title. In the comic it is Scarlet Witch. Monica expresses disagreement with Hayward's assessment of Wanda's desire for power. Hayward shows a surveillance video of Wanda stealing Vision's corpse 9 days prior to the events of the show. Hayward claims that Wanda reassembled and resurrected the Vision. in direct violation of the Sokovia Accords and Vision's own living will to not be used as a weapon. After Hayward dismisses the meeting, Wu asks how Wanda was able to bring back Vision without the Mind Stone destroyed in Endgame. Darcy worries about what Vision may do when he figures out the truth. Back in Westview, Billy and Tommy are confronted by their mother for hiding a dog in the kitchen sink. Wanda notices how there is no collar, and the boys ask her if they can keep him. Vision arrives and asks about the dog. Agnes arrives with a doghouse. Vision is clearly suspicious. Wanda makes a collar out of thin air while Agnes is present, but not looking. Vision privately discusses with her the dangers of showing their powers. Wanda tells Vision that they don't need to worry since Agnes didn't even notice the boys suddenly growing to 5 years old. Vision tries to press the issue but they are interrupted by the boys. Wanda and Vision tell them they cannot own a pet until they are 10 years old. To which the boys laugh and age 5 more years, much to their parents' chagrin. Wu arrives at a meeting where Monica and Darcy are discussing the construction of a vehicle to safely re-enter Westview. Monica says she may know an aerospace engineer who might be willing to help. Darcy tells them that she's calling the captured town, the Hex, on account of the hexagonal shapes it uses. Wu and Darcy discuss how Wanda is wielding an incredible amount of power to be able to manifest the show props into reality. Wu and Darcy comment on how Captain Marvel's powers from an Infinity Stone as well, though Monica pretends that she doesn't know. Monica goes to the lab to inspect her wardrobe from the Hex. After inspecting the results on the materials, Monica fires several shots at the clothes, but the bullets bounce off. The clothes were reanimated from what Monica was wearing as she entered, including a bulletproof vest. Monica surmises that Wanda is rewriting reality. If Wanda changes things as they go into the Hex, what are they go in with something that requires no change? At Vision's job, now taking Wanda's advice to use his powers, he connects the computers to the internet by touching them. Immediately, everyone in the office receives an email from Darcy warning of the high levels of CMBR. Everyone in the office reads it out loud and begins laughing. Vision places his fingers on Norm's temples to clear his mind. Immediately, the actor begins to freak out and runs from the office. He tells Vision how much it hurts to have Wanda controlling him. Vision puts him back in his trance and goes about his day. At home, Billy plays with the dog in front of Wanda and Tommy. The boys ask why Vision had to go to work on Saturday. Wanda tries to play it off in a parenting moment. Tommy asks if Wanda has a brother, and she tells him that he is very far away and it makes her sad. The dog barks as it hears a drone approaching. Monica calls Wanda and asks to talk. Wanda's eyes turn red as Hayward orders to take the shot. Monica is confused as the drone was not armed. A shot is heard and the visual cuts. The team assembles outside the Hex. Wanda walks out and throws the missile at Hayward's feet. Wanda tells them to stay out of her home. Hayward tells her that she kidnapped the town. Monica tries to speak to Wanda. She tells her that Wanda knows she wants to help because she can read her mind. Wanda goes back into the Hex as it turns red. Wanda and the boys are looking for the dog. The mailman comments that their mom won't let him get far. Agnes comes to them with the dog wrapped in a sheet. He died from eating poison leaves in her bushes. The boys tell Wanda that she can fix anything, so she can fix dead. She tells them that she cannot reverse death. The boys plead with her as Vision arrives. Back home, Vision comments on how they adopted the dog and buried it on the same day. Vision tells Wanda that he spoke to Norm outside of her mind control. Vision tells her how he knows. Vision asks about the Maximoff anomaly. Wanda tries to deflect by ending the show. But Vision angrily confronts her in the living room. Vision says that there are no other children in Westview, and how he cannot remember his life before Westview. Wanda tries to calm him down by telling him that he has a wife and children and asks if that isn't enough. She sits on the couch and says that she doesn't know how any of this started. Vision tells her again that she is hurting people by doing this. The doorbell rings. Wanda tells Vision that she didn't ring it. Wanda finally answers the door. It is Pietro, but a different actor. Evan Peters from the Fox movies. Episode 6, All New Halloween Spooktacular. Open on the boys in a supernatural late 90s, early O-style opening. Like Malcolm in the Middle, Billy and Tommy narrate as they prepare for Halloween and wake up their uncle Pietro. He wakes up and messes with them using his super speed powers. Hearing the screams, Wanda comes down dressed as the Marvel Comics original design for Scarlet Witch, followed by Vision in his yellow and green costume, but with a human face painted red. Despite Pietro's immaturity, he is great with their children. Vision goes out for the neighborhood watch, but Wanda admonishes him for missing the boys' first Halloween. Pietro interrupts and offers to take Vision's place. Pietro takes Tommy out for 3 literal seconds to pick up matching Quicksilver costumes. Outside the Hex, SWORD is investigating the anomaly. The team comments on Hayward's actions, but Hayward sticks to his plan to take Maximoff out. Monica disagrees, offering that Wanda is the key to a peaceful resolution. Hayward calls her out on her relationship with Captain Marvel, and invokes Monica's mother, telling her she clearly doesn't have the stomach for this job. She is escorted out with Wu and Darcy, but the 3 easily overpower their escort guards. The 3 dress in SWORD attire to get their stuff. Back in Westview, the boys are trick-or-treating with Wanda and Pietro. Wanda asks Pietro about an event from their past. Pietro attempts to play it off, commenting on how he looks different, with which Wanda agrees and asks about as well. At that point, the boys come back and Pietro offers to hit more houses with them. Wanda sees Herb as he receives a transmission as Pietro plays pranks. Wanda asks about Vision, but Herb says he wasn't on patrol today. On the other side of town, Vision is walking around and notices a pair of neighbors repeating the same movements over and over again. One has a tear in her eye. A commercial for Yo Magic Yogurt snacks airs. Wanda and Pietro walk by a theater playing The Parent Trap and The Incredibles, which opened respectively in 1998 and 2004. While discussing his pranks, Pietro explains that his purpose was to come into town and shake things up, which would ultimately give Wanda grief, since that is what she wanted. Wanda doesn't fully understand how he came to be. Pietro says he remembers being shot and the next thing was hearing Wanda calling him. Tommy interrupts them to reveal that he also possesses super speed. Wanda tells him to take his brother but tells them not to go past Ellis Avenue. Monica sees Pietro on the monitor in their former base. Darcy hacks into the base to access Hayward's intel. Hayward has figured out how to track Vision. Wu also notices that the people near the edge of Westview are barely moving, and asks if they are even alive. Vision walks to an area where more residents are frozen. Vision tries to speak to them but gets no responses. Vision returns to his true form and flies up to hear the town. He heads toward a vehicle at the edge of town. It is Agnes. Vision asks where she is going. Agnes, in a trance, says she got lost on her way to the town square. Disbelieving, Vision wakes her. She immediately recognizes him and asks if he is there to help them. Agnes asks if she is dead. Because Vision is. It is the first time he has heard that. Agnes maniacally laughs and comments on how Wanda won't let them leave town. Vision puts her back in the trance and promises to fix it. Agnes, in her casual sing-song way, accepts and turns around. Vision continues past Ellis Avenue. Outside, Monica's contact will arrive in 1 hour, but Darcy advises against going in again, telling Monica that the hex has rewritten her cells both times she went through. In and out, Monica chooses to go anyway. Wu agrees to help her, but Darcy wants to stay behind to get more information. Monica agrees and tells her to meet them outside when she is finished. Back in Westview, Wanda and Pietro are at the Halloween party at the town square. Pietro asks where Wanda has been hiding the kids all this time. He openly calls her out for controlling the entire town with her powers but compliments her on the improvement from how she used to use her powers as a child. He tells her she can talk to him. She tells him that she doesn't remember how she did it, only that she felt completely alone. Suddenly, in her moment of vulnerability, Wanda sees Pietro riddled with bullets. But it reverts back to normal. Darcy discovers another level of Hayward's plot as Vision makes it to the hex. He tries to walk out as SWORD personnel approach. The hex pulls Vision apart as he tries to leave. Darcy runs out, pleading with them to help him, but is seized. Inside, Billy is able to hear Vision. The boys get Wanda and tell her that Vision is in trouble. Outside, Darcy is arrested by Hayward as Vision's body continues to deteriorate. Wanda freezes everyone in Westview and emits a large amount of energy, increasing the size of the hex. Hayward leaves Darcy chained to a parked Jeep, a running joke on her character from the Thor movies. The hex forms over Vision and Darcy as well as all SWORD vehicles, stations, and agents, turning them into a circus of clowns. As the hex continues to grow, it consumes more of the area. Only 2 cars manage to escape the hex. One is carrying Monica and Wu. The other has Hayward and 3 SWORD associates. Inside, everyone begins to move again as Wanda opens her eyes and the episode ends. Episode 7, Breaking the Fourth Wall. Now presented in a modern family mockumentary style. Wanda narrates her waking up the morning after Halloween with Vision not in her bed. She recalls how she expanded the hex the night before. Billy and Tommy come in to wake her. Billy complains about his headaches from hearing everyone's thoughts. Wanda again deflects to get in a few more ZS. So the boys leave her to go to the living room. She decides to take a quarantine-style staycation by herself for the day. She comes downstairs, ignoring the boys, and takes out an almond milk with sugar snap cereal. As she pours herself the cereal, the almond milk suddenly changes to whole cow's milk with a missing picture on it. Then, the bowl of cereal suddenly changes along with the milk and other objects in the kitchen to older versions of themselves. Wanda suspiciously bites into the cereal and carries it back into the living room before commenting that she truly does not know what is going on. Cut to SWORD's temporary retreat base 8 miles outside of Westview. Hayward speaks with an associate, who tells him that Wanda has cut off the broadcast from Westview. He tells her to get ready to hit them with all they've got. She agrees. Vision awakes outside the circus. where he is immediately drafted by a former SWORD agent, now circus strongman, as a clown in the Escape Act. Darcy maintains her character but is still brainwashed by the show. Vision speaks to Darcy, but she does not remember him. The boys ask why their uncle Pietro said that Vision was dead. Wanda explains to them that he is not their uncle. When they ask who he is, she deflects by telling them that she doesn't have any answers for them. She comments on how she is starting to feel like everything is meaningless. Agnes comes in for her visit and immediately offers to take the boys off Wanda's hands. Wanda turns on the television and sits with her bowl of cereal as random objects in the house begin to change their designs between time periods. The stork from episode 3 also reappears. Wanda plays it off, saying she is fine. Outside, Monica and Wu are reading through Darcy's findings from Hayward's computer hack. Wu discovers a project code named Cataract, which was Hayward's plan to reactivate the Vision. Interrupted of course when Wanda stole his body. He was tracking Vision through the hex to monitor how he was able to function. Hayward's only interest is in Vision, not Wanda. Monica meets with Major Goodner, a friend of her mother's. The Major rolls out the vehicle to breach the hex. It is a six-wheeled space rover with a sealed cockpit and a suit. Monica is amazed. Back in the circus, Vision wakes Darcy, who convinces him to steal a truck back to his house. Back home, Wanda's environment continues to randomly change as she watches in bewilderment. The interviewer asks Wanda if she thinks this is what she deserves. Confused, she tells him he isn't supposed to talk. A commercial for Nexus, a prescription antidepressant. Nexalpromicide. At Agnes' house, Billy comments on how Agnes' mind is quiet. When Tommy asks how their mom is, Agnes tells them their mom will be fine before commenting in the interview that Wanda is clearly cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Outside, Monica prepares to enter the hex in the modified space rover. She drives toward the hex as Wu and Goodner look on. Monica finds the hex to be harder to breach than expected. Wu and Goodner tell her to get out of the rover, which she does just as it is spat out by the hex as a pickup truck. Monica decides to run through and makes it. As she walks through the hex, Monica hears several voices, including those of her mother, Carol Danvers, and Nick Fury. Monica enters Westview with a blue light in her eyes. She is able to see Westview as it really is and is not controlled by Wanda's powers. She blinds the blue light out of her eyes and walks toward Wanda's Westview. On the way to their home, Darcy explains to Vision how Wanda had to watch Vision die twice. Vision comments on how the multiple obstacles to get home must be Wanda's plan. While discussing the anomaly of Westview, Darcy tells Vision that she was watching the show, and even though the town is fake, their love is real. Monica arrives at Wanda's home and walks in. Wanda immediately uses her powers to dismiss her, but Monica is somehow able to resist her. Monica taunts her in her front yard in full view of the neighbors and tells her about Hayward's plan to destroy the town. Monica tells Wanda how she lost her mother during the blip, but as she explains the reality of living with her truth, Agnes comes to quickly dismiss her verbally. Before walking away with Agnes, Wanda tells Monica, "Don't make me hurt you." Darcy and Vision continue to be delayed. Vision suddenly realizes he can fly home. Sitting in Agnes' home, Wanda notices a cicada on the curtain and asks Agnes where the twins are. Agnes tells her they are probably playing in the basement. Wanda goes downstairs to check on them. In a haunting moment, Wanda discovers a secret passageway to an underground lair. She is confronted by Agnes, who reveals herself to also have power. Agnes is really Agatha Harkness. She takes control of Wanda's mind as a musical scene plays the repeating lyric, "It's been Agatha all along." In a mid-credits scene, Moniz discovers the entrance to Agatha's lair as Pietro shows up. Episode 8, previously on. The Marvel Studios logo turns purple as we flashback to 1693 Salem, Massachusetts, where Agatha is being brought to a stake. She is held with mystic power and confesses to being a witch. She is accused by the High Witch of the Coven, her mother, of stealing and using powers she was told not to meddle with, including dark magic. Agatha admits to using the dark powers, and knowing that she cannot control them, as she pleads with her mother to teach how to control her powers. She is blasted by the Coven as her mother chants an incantation. Agatha uses the dark magic to absorb the power and life out of the witches at the trial. As the other witches fall to the ground dead, Agatha's mother attacks her, and is drained of her power as well. Agatha steps down from the stake and looks upon the dead Coven around her. She takes the cameo on her mother's neck as we flash forward to the present. In Agatha's basement, the witch continues to speak with Wanda as the latter attempts to read her mind. Agatha laughs and suggests she not try it. Wanda asks where her children are. Agatha taunts her as Wanda tries to attack, but she is no match for the witch. Agatha reveals that Wanda is within a rune space, where only the witch who cast the runes can use her magic. Agatha tells Wanda about how she was able to create Pietro as a projection of herself. Since she couldn't use Pietro's actual body, she made up the Evan Peters visage for the Halloween episode. While Agnes waited at her car for Vision to approach, Agatha describes magic as a scientific concept, commenting on how Wanda's power is so great. It enabled her ability to cast so many spells so efficiently, explicitly detailing each spell. Agatha describes how she uses her own powers, casting a mind control spell on a cicada before sending it to Wanda's body, then transmuting it into a bird. Agatha comments again on her amazement at how Wanda was able to use her magic to such a strong degree before feeding the bird to her rabbit. Agatha asks Wanda how she was able to do it, but Wanda again claims true ignorance. Agatha doesn't believe her, and recalls the conversation she had with Pietro. Really, Agatha? In episode 6. Insisting Wanda call upon the emotion she was feeling when Pietro returned. That of loneliness and emptiness. She plucks a hair from Wanda's head and uses it to transform a wall into a door to her past, where she walks in on her mother Irina as her father Oleg returns with a suitcase full of DVDs of American sitcoms from the 50s through the O that he promises to sell after they watch them. A child Pietro greets his father, speaking English, and calls for Wanda. As Agatha forces the real Wanda to walk into the memory, she is transformed into a little girl as they decide which show they want to watch. Irina looks outside as the Sokovian War is going on. Oleg loads a DVD of the Dick Van Dyke Show as the kids watch the episode. It may look like a walnut. The music takes over as Wanda watches and enjoys the show. At that moment, the airstrike that kills their parents happens. The Stark device from Wanda's memories lands, blinking a red light as the black and white program continues to play on the TV. Similar to the Stark toaster commercial from episode 1, Wanda tells Pietro at the end of the episode that it was all a bad dream. She comes out of the memory and tells Agatha that the bomb never went off and was defective. Wanda tells Agatha that she and Pietro were trapped for 2 days. Agatha is surprised as they seem like they were safe. Agatha inquires as to where Wanda got her powers. Wanda reluctantly takes Agatha to a memory of her entrance to HYDRA's testing facility. Her adult self walks toward the staff given to Loki by the other in the Avengers. She is asked to touch the staff. Wanda hesitantly steps forward as she sees the gem leave the staff. It flies before her as she reaches out with her hand. The Mind Stone reveals itself to her as it emanates a bright yellow-orange light, consuming Wanda and lifting her off the floor. Wanda then falls to the ground as the experimenters walk in and notice that she is still alive. Wanda continues to watch old shows in her cell as the experimenters watch the surveillance video, which only shows Wanda walking in and on the floor, with no footage of the gem or stone. Agatha comments on how the Infinity Stone gave Wanda her powers, but says she needs more information as to how Wanda took over Westview. The next room features Wanda living in the Avengers compound, where she and Vision are living together for the first time. Wanda invites Vision to sit with her as she continues to watch Malcolm in the Middle. Vision inquires as to the comedy of the show. Vision tells her that she can talk to him. Wanda tells Vision that her only comfort would come from seeing him again. Wanda apologizes and tells Vision how she feels. While Vision admits that he knows nothing of love, he says that her grief seems to be an expression of her love for Pietro persevering. The two laugh together as Agatha wipes away a tear. Agatha tells Wanda that her parents, Pietro and Vision, all died. Agatha asks Wanda how she got Vision back, and the next flashback takes Wanda to SWORD headquarters where she pleads with a guard to let her have his body back, saying that he at least deserves a funeral. The guard receives a call, hangs up, and tells Wanda where to go. Wanda enters and walks purposefully into the facility to Hayward's office. Hayward tells her that he knows she is there to recover Vision's body. Wanda tells him that he deserves to be buried and that she is entitled to his body as his next of kin. Hayward takes her to where they are deconstructing Vision. Hayward explains that Vision is the most powerful weapon ever made, and is made up of roughly $3 billion worth of vibranium, on top of the fact that he is SWORD's legal property. He tells Wanda that she will not be given his body. Wanda shatters the window and flies down to the body. Hayward orders all guards to stand down and allow her to see for herself. She approaches Vision's head and attempts to feel him, but is unable. She then walks away and leaves for her car in the parking lot. Wanda never stole Vision's body as Hayward accused in Episode 4. As Wanda gets into her Scarlet 2021 Buick Verano, she sees an envelope on the passenger seat and drives to Westview. The town is quiet, with its residents living simple, peaceful lives. Wanda pulls up to an open lot in one neighborhood and opens the piece of paper, which is a property deed granted to Wanda and Vision as the lot where they were going to build their home. The despair of not having Vision causes a great surge in power, allowing Wanda to build the house and immediately transform the entire town into a 50s neighborhood, assembling and activating Vision entirely from her love for him at the same time. Wanda enters the black and white scene transforming into her Episode 1 costume. Vision greets her as the two sit on the couch and kiss. Present Wanda looks on as the backstage lighting and scenery appear, revealing the studio, with Agatha clapping from the audience. Wanda hears the boys calling for her again and runs out to the street in broad daylight to see Agatha holding them in magic nooses. Agatha, in her true form, scolds Wanda that she has immense power and decided to use it to create the TV world. Agatha calls her power chaos magic, which makes her the Scarlet Witch. A mid-credit scene shows Hayward using Wanda's power taken from the missile she threw back in Episode 5 to reactivate the Vision in an all-silver outfit. It has not yet been made explicitly clear whether or not the boys were created by Wanda as she created Vision or if they are also illusions made by Agatha. Episode 8, the series finale. Picking up from where we left off, Wanda uses her powers with Agatha's encouragement to free the boys. Agatha absorbs Wanda's power using her dark magic, which she says takes power from the undeserving. Wanda lifts her Buick and slams Agatha into the house with it. Agatha's boots appear under the car Wizard of Oz style as the Silver Vision arrives. Wanda tries to see if he recognizes her, but he begins to kill her. Wanda's Vision arrives and Agatha reveals that she survived. Monica watches from Pietro's room, where she is imprisoned. The Visions fight in the air, with Hayward watching from Sword as Wu is brought in. Hayward explains his plan to use the extraction to reveal his Vision as the true hero. Wu tells him that his friends at Quantico will be there within the hour. He is then knocked to a haystack, where he is able to undo his handcuffs and call for backup. For real. Wanda walks through Westview as Agatha wakes everyone she had brainwashed. They all begin to approach her. Back in Pietro's room, it is revealed that Pietro's real name is Ralph Borner. Monica notices and removes a purple necklace Agatha was using to control Ralph. In the town square, the boys rush to help Wanda. Wanda defends her actions as the people tell Wanda that they are feeling her pain, even seeing her nightmares when they sleep. Agatha begins to kill them, but Wanda stops them from dying and promises to let them go. Wanda uses her power to open the hex enough for the townspeople to leave Westview. At the same time, Hayward decides to use the opportunity to enter. Agatha laughs as the Visions continue to fight. Wanda's Vision begins to deteriorate as the hex dissipates. Wanda sees this as the boys arrive, deteriorating as well. Agatha says that by destroying Westview, Wanda will be destroying her family. So Wanda stops in order to be with her family. Agatha goads Wanda into a fight so that she may absorb her magic. SWORD Vision looks on as SWORD arrives and draws their guns on the Maximoffs. The Visions continue to fight, ending up in the library, where S-Vision explains his directive to destroy Wanda Maximoff and the Vision. W-Vision explains that since he is not the true Vision, S-Vision's directive to destroy Vision cannot be completed. Outside, Wanda flies into the air as Tommy and Billy take care of SWORD. Monica arrives as Hayward fires several bullets at the boys. Monica stands in front, but the bullets pass through her. Luckily, a force field generated by Billy protects them. Hayward tried to escape, but Darcy T-bones his van. While discussing S-Vision's existence, W-Vision gets through to his alternate self and the robot allows his memories to be restored. Now styling brown eyes, Vision accepts his identity as W-Vision leaves to take care of his family. Agatha watches from a rooftop. While distracted, Agatha has her mind controlled by Wanda. In Wanda's world, she tells Agatha that the difference between the two is that Agatha did her deeds on purpose. Agatha manages to use her magic to turn the fantasy against Wanda. Agatha tells Wanda that her strength is not her power. Is it her knowledge? At that point, the crown of the Scarlet Witch begins to appear on Wanda's head. As she brings Agatha back into Westview and attacks her, Wanda tells Agatha that she can have her power, as she doesn't want it. Wanda continuously strikes at Agatha in the air, occasionally missing and hitting the hex. Agatha goads Wanda to fight more. Wanda continues to strike her, missing once more and hitting the hex. Wanda releases an immense amount of power that Agatha absorbs completely, promising to end Wanda's pain. Agatha tells her that her world will always be broken, and attempts to cast a final spell. Agatha has lost all her magic. Each time she missed, Wanda had cast runes within the hex on all sides, making it so that only she may use her magic. Wanda thanks Agatha for the lesson and reforms her scarlet crown. Wanda absorbs all of Agatha's magic, becoming the fully realized Scarlet Witch. She returns Agatha to the ground, alive but powerless. Rather than turn her over to SWORD, Wanda tells Agatha that Westview will be her prison, forever mind-washed to be the nosy neighbor. Agatha warns that she will need her guidance to use her power. Wanda tells her that she will know where to find her as she returns Agatha to the Agnes form. Wanda tells Agnes that she will live in Westview alone. No one will ever bother her. Agnes happily agrees. The hex begins to shrink as the Maximoffs return home. Wanda and her Vision tuck the boys into bed. Wanda watches as the hex closes. In the living room, she turns off the light in preparation to say goodbye to Vision. He leaves one lamp on. Vision asks Wanda what he is. She tells him that he is the piece of the Mind Stone that lives in her. Her sadness and her hope. But mostly he is her love. They kiss as a tear falls from Vision's eye. The hex closes in on the couple as Wanda's Vision and the rest of her Westview disappear. Wanda returns to the empty lot, her Scarlet Buick Verano restored from the fight, and walks through the town. She comes upon the townspeople, who all stop to stare at her. She meets Monica, and the two have an honest conversation. Wanda agrees to learn how to use her powers as the local police arrive. Wanda flies out of Westview. In a mid-credit scene, Wu and Monica meet as Hayward is arrested. Monica is called into the theater, where she is debriefed by a Skrull, who tells her that their leader would like to meet with her on the space station. In a post-credits scene, we are taken to a mountain cabin, where Wanda sits quietly, attending to a whistling teapot. In another room, the Scarlet Witch reads through the Darkhold as she hears the voices of her children calling out to her for help. To spoil further, Elizabeth Olsen is cast in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Unknown if Kathryn Hahn may make an appearance, if only a cameo, as Agatha Harkness. Monica being debriefed by the Skrull sets up Captain Marvel 2. Which stars Tana Paris as Monica Rambeau, as well as Ms. Marvel. After that show